Hello there. I'm so glad you found your way here tonight. Right now, as you settle in, something mysterious is unfolding all around the world. Strange lights are flickering in remote skies. Unexplained sounds are echoing through empty valleys. Deep beneath the ocean, signals pulse through the darkness with no known source. For every question science has answered, countless others hover just beyond its reach. There are phenomena that defy our current understanding, events that linger at the edge of explanation, waiting patiently in the shadows of what we think we know. The unknown is not something to fear. It is a beautiful landscape full of infinite wonder. Tonight, we journey into the quiet world of unexplained phenomena. We will explore over 100 soothing mysteries from the natural world and beyond, from strange lights in the sky to sounds that have no source, from ancient structures that defy explanation to signals from deep space that no one can decode. There is no test at the end, no rush, no urgency, just the gentle unfolding of the unknown to carry you softly towards sleep. So let your breathing slow, let your thoughts grow quiet, and allow yourself to drift into the peaceful wonder of the unexplained. Welcome to Drowsy Discovery. I am glad you found your way here tonight. Perhaps you have had a long day. Perhaps you simply enjoy falling asleep to thoughts about the remarkable mysteries that still surround us. Either way, this space is for you. There is something deeply calming about contemplating the unexplained. Every mystery, every unanswered question, every strange phenomenon carries within it a reminder that our world is not fully mapped. You are part of that story. The same curiosity that drives scientists to explore the unknown is alive within you tonight. The desire to wonder, to question, to marvel at things we cannot yet explain. If you enjoy these gentle journeys, I invite you to like, subscribe, or share a thought below. It helps others find their way here too, one sleepy soul at a time. But for now, all you need to do is relax. So settle in, let the weight of the day drift away, and let us begin with the first of many quiet mysteries about unexplained phenomena. The unexplained is patient beyond measure. Mysteries can persist for centuries before answers emerge. Strange events recur across generations without resolution. Ancient puzzles remain unsolved despite modern technology, and yet, within all that patience, there are sudden revelations, discoveries that reframe everything we thought we knew, explanations that arrive from unexpected directions. Tonight, we will wander through this magnificent world of wonder. We will meet phenomena that challenge our understanding. We will discover mysteries that science has only begun to explore. And we will uncover truths about the unexplained that may surprise even the most curious minds. But there is no hurry. The mysteries have waited this long. They can wait a little longer while you rest. Let us begin with the strange and the wondrous. Some people share nearly identical dreams without ever meeting. Throughout recorded history, there have been countless reports of strangers experiencing remarkably similar dreams without any prior connection. These shared dream experiences often feature identical settings, characters, or narrative sequences that seem impossible to explain through coincidence alone. Researchers have documented cases where individuals on opposite sides of the world describe the same vivid imagery in extraordinary detail. Some theories suggest that collective unconscious archetypes, as proposed by Carl Jung, may create common dream templates across human consciousness. Others speculate that subtle environmental cues or shared cultural exposure might trigger similar neural patterns during sleep. The phenomenon remains particularly fascinating because dreams are considered among the most private of human experiences. Yet these mysterious overlaps suggest our sleeping minds may be more connected than we realize. Scientists continue to study this enigmatic occurrence, though no definitive explanation has emerged. The shared dream phenomenon reminds us that consciousness holds mysteries we are only beginning to explore. Certain stars flicker in patterns that look almost deliberate. When we gaze at the night sky, some stars appear to pulse and flicker in rhythms that seem almost intentional. While atmospheric turbulence accounts for most stellar twinkling, certain stars exhibit variations that follow precise mathematical sequences. Variable stars change brightness due to internal processes, but some display patterns that have puzzled astronomers for decades. The star KIC 8,462,852, nicknamed Tabby's star, dimmed in irregular ways that initially defied conventional explanation. Scientists proposed various theories from dust clouds to orbiting debris, yet the exact cause remained elusive for years. Some researchers even briefly considered artificial structures before natural explanations gained support. The deliberate appearance of these flickering patterns reveals how our pattern-seeking minds interpret cosmic phenomena. Even when science eventually explains such mysteries, the initial wonder they inspire reminds us how much the universe can surprise us. These stellar light shows continue to captivate both professional astronomers and casual stargazers alike. The cosmos writes its own rhythms in light across the darkness. Vast patches of ocean glow softly with no known source. Sailors have reported witnessing enormous stretches of ocean emitting an eerie soft glow that extends to the horizon. These milky seas, as they are sometimes called, can cover thousands of square kilometers and persist for hours or even days. While bioluminescence from marine organisms explains some ocean glowing, certain events have no identifiable biological source. Satellite imagery has confirmed these massive glowing patches exist far from known concentrations of bioluminescent creatures. The phenomenon occurs most frequently in the Indian Ocean, though reports come from waters worldwide. Some researchers propose that unusual bacterial blooms might be responsible, but the scale often exceeds what such blooms could produce. Others suggest unknown chemical or geothermal processes might illuminate these vast water surfaces. The glow appears uniform rather than scattered, distinguishing it from typical bioluminescent displays. Witnesses describe the experience as profoundly otherworldly, like sailing across a softly lit dreamscape. These glowing seas remain one of the ocean's most beautiful and persistent mysteries. Some remote valleys cause compasses to spin wildly. In scattered locations around the world, particularly in remote mountain valleys, compasses behave erratically without any apparent cause. Hikers and explorers have documented their compass needles spinning in complete circles or pointing in directions that make no logical sense. While iron deposits and magnetic anomalies can affect compass readings, some locations produce effects far beyond what local geology can explain. Certain valleys in the Himalayas and remote regions of South America are particularly notorious for these disturbances. Standard magnetic surveys fail to reveal sufficient mineral concentrations to account for such dramatic compass behavior. The phenomenon sometimes occurs intermittently, with compasses functioning normally one day and spinning wildly the next. Local legends often attribute these areas to supernatural forces or ancient energies embedded in the earth. Scientists have proposed various theories involving underground electrical currents or unusual geological formations. Yet comprehensive explanations for the most extreme cases remain elusive. These compass anomalies remind adventurers that the Earth still harbors magnetic mysteries we do not fully understand. Ancient forests contain wandering pockets of unexplained cold. Deep within some of the world's oldest forests, visitors have encountered sudden pockets of intense cold that move through the woodland without any meteorological explanation. These cold spots can drop temperatures by several degrees within just a few steps, creating an unsettling sensation for those who encounter them. Unlike cold air pooling in low-lying areas, these pockets appear to drift through the forest, sometimes following observers as they move. Scientists have measured these temperature anomalies with precision instruments, confirming they exist beyond subjective perception. Conventional explanations, such as underground streams or air circulation, fail to account for the mobile nature of these cold zones. Some researchers speculate that unusual electromagnetic phenomena might create localized cooling effects in dense forest environments. Others suggest that complex interactions between ancient root systems and soil chemistry could play a role. These wandering cold spots have been reported across continents, from European old-growth forests to the ancient woods of North America. Local folklore often interprets them as the presence of something ancient and unknowable. The phenomenon continues to intrigue scientists studying forest microclimates. The Earth emits a constant low-frequency hum, even without earthquakes. Our planet produces a continuous low-frequency vibration that resonates through its crust, even during periods of complete seismic quiet. This mysterious hum was first detected by sensitive seismometers in the late 20th century and has been confirmed by stations worldwide. The frequency is far too low for human ears to detect, typically ranging between 2 and 7 millihertz. Scientists initially assumed ocean waves crashing against coastlines generated the vibration, but the pattern proved more complex than wave action alone could explain. The hum remains remarkably consistent regardless of weather conditions or human activity on the surface. Some researchers propose that atmospheric pressure variations create standing waves that resonate through the planet's interior. Others suggest that interactions between the solid Earth and its fluid outer core might contribute to the phenomenon. The hum essentially means our planet is constantly singing a note too deep for us to hear. This perpetual vibration reminds us that Earth is a dynamic, living system with rhythms we are only beginning to understand. The planet's secret song continues beneath our feet. Certain rocks release energy pulses in complex patterns. Geologists have documented specific rock formations that emit measurable energy pulses following intricate patterns that seem almost deliberate. These emissions take various forms, including electromagnetic radiation, ultrasonic vibrations, and minute electrical discharges. The piezoelectric effect, where mechanical stress generates electricity in certain crystals, explains some of these phenomena. However, certain formations produce pulses in sequences that exceed what simple pressure changes would create. Quartz-rich rocks under tectonic stress have been observed emitting electromagnetic signals hours before earthquakes occur. Some granite formations release energy in rhythmic patterns that vary with lunar cycles in ways researchers cannot fully explain. Ancient cultures often considered such rocks sacred, perhaps sensing energy emissions that modern instruments now confirm. The complexity of these patterns has led some scientists to study whether geological processes can encode information in ways we do not yet understand. These pulsing rocks suggest the mineral world possesses a dynamism far beyond inert stone. The phenomenon bridges geology and physics in fascinating ways that continue to inspire research. Some deserts produce whispers of sound in complete stillness. Travelers crossing certain desert regions have reported hearing whispered sounds emerging from the sand during moments of absolute stillness. These mysterious whispers seem to have no source, arising from the landscape itself when no wind blows and no creatures stir. Some deserts are known for their singing sands, where certain dune formations produce humming or booming sounds when sand grains slide against each other. But the whispered sounds differ entirely, described as almost vocal, like distant murmured conversations just beyond comprehension. Scientists studying desert acoustics have struggled to identify what could produce such phenomena in completely calm conditions. The extreme silence of remote deserts may amplify subtle sounds to the point where the environment itself seems to speak. Temperature variations can create air movements at scales too small to feel, but sufficient to generate faint sounds. Others suggest that the human auditory system, deprived of normal input, might create perceptions of meaningful sound from random noise. Yet witnesses consistently describe these whispers as distinctly different from imagination or hallucination. The desert's voice remains one of nature's quietest mysteries. Repeating radio bursts arrive from deep space with no clear explanation. Since their discovery in 2007, fast radio bursts have presented astronomers with one of the most tantalizing cosmic puzzles. These brief flashes of radio energy last only milliseconds, yet release more energy than our sun produces in an entire day. Most fast radio bursts appear once and never repeat, making them nearly impossible to study in detail. However, some sources produce repeated bursts in irregular patterns that defy easy explanation. The repeating nature rules out one-time catastrophic events like collisions or explosions as the sole cause. Scientists have proposed magnetars, neutron stars, and even exotic physics to explain the phenomenon, but no single theory accounts for all observations. The signals travel billions of light years through intergalactic space before reaching our detectors. Their existence proves that intense, mysterious processes are occurring throughout the universe with regularity. Each new detection adds data, but also raises fresh questions about what cosmic mechanisms could produce such concentrated energy. These repeating signals from the void remind us that the universe broadcasts messages we are still learning to interpret. Some caves generate light that does not behave like reflection. Exploring certain cave systems, speleologists have encountered soft illumination that cannot be attributed to reflection from external light sources. These caves are deep enough that no sunlight could possibly penetrate, yet patches of walls or ceilings seem to emit their own gentle glow. While bioluminescent organisms produce light in some caves, other locations exhibit glowing that persists where no life exists. Certain mineral formations contain phosphorescent or fluorescent compounds that absorb and re-emit light, but this requires an initial light source to excite them. In completely isolated caves, such excitation sources should not exist, yet the glow remains. Some researchers suggest that radioactive decay in certain rocks might provide continuous energy for luminescent minerals. Others propose that unknown chemical reactions between groundwater and mineral deposits could generate photons. The phenomenon is rare enough that systematic study proves difficult, with many reported cases remaining isolated observations. Cave explorers who witness this unexplained illumination describe it as profoundly calming rather than unsettling. These glowing caves remind us that darkness itself can harbor unexpected sources of light. Animals migrate with precision that defies known senses. Every year, billions of creatures undertake journeys of extraordinary precision using navigational abilities that science cannot fully explain. Arctic terns fly from pole to pole, covering distances of over 70,000 kilometers while maintaining pinpoint accuracy. Monarch butterflies travel thousands of kilometers to specific trees their ancestors visited generations before they were born. Sea turtles return to the exact beaches where they hatched decades earlier, crossing entire oceans to find them. While we understand that animals use Earth's magnetic field, star patterns, and scent trails, these mechanisms alone cannot account for the precision observed. Some species navigate accurately even when these known cues are disrupted or absent. Researchers have blindfolded birds and transporting them to unfamiliar locations, yet many still find their way home. The phenomenon suggests animals may possess senses or abilities entirely outside our current understanding. This navigational mystery has inspired decades of research, yet continues to yield more questions than answers. The precision of animal migration reminds us that nature holds capacities we are only beginning to glimpse. The deep sea produces roars that match no known creature. Hydrophone arrays monitoring the world's oceans have captured numerous sounds that match no known biological or geological source. These deep ocean sounds often possess remarkable power, traveling across entire ocean basins before being detected. Some resemble animal vocalizations, but at frequencies or volumes no documented creature could produce. Others sound mechanical or structured in ways that seem impossible for natural processes to generate. The bloop, Julia, the upsweep, and other named sounds have become famous among researchers and the public alike. While some have eventually been explained by ice carving or underwater volcanic activity, others remain genuinely mysterious. The deep sea remains the least explored environment on Earth, with most of its volume entirely unvisited by humans. Unknown creatures of substantial size could easily exist in this realm without ever being documented. These mysterious roars and calls from the abyss fuel speculation about what might inhabit the deepest waters. The ocean continues to speak in voices we cannot identify. Ancient structures align with celestial events beyond expected accuracy. Across the globe, prehistoric monuments demonstrate astronomical alignments that seem to exceed the technological capabilities of their builders. Stonehenge marks summer and winter solstices with remarkable precision despite being constructed thousands of years ago. The Great Pyramid of Giza aligns with cardinal directions more accurately than modern surveyors could achieve using available tools. Ancient temples in Malta, Ireland, and Central America capture specific astronomical moments through carefully positioned openings and corridors. The Nazca lines in Peru incorporate alignments with stellar positions visible millennia in the past. What makes these alignments truly mysterious is not their existence, but their extraordinary accuracy. The precision often exceeds what the builders would have needed for practical purposes like agriculture or ceremony. Some researchers suggest lost techniques or knowledge that ancient civilizations possessed and we have yet to rediscover. Others propose that observation over many generations allowed the refinement of measurements to unexpected degrees. These celestial alignments connect us to humans who watched the same skies thousands of years ago. Their precision continues to humble modern observers. The sun occasionally emits mysterious narrowband radio signals. Our sun broadcasts a constant stream of radio noise, but occasionally it produces narrowband signals that stand apart from this background. These precise frequency emissions behave differently from the chaotic radio output typical of stellar processes. Solar physicists have studied these signals extensively, finding that they occur at specific frequencies with unusual consistency. While plasma interactions and magnetic field dynamics can produce structured emissions, some solar signals remain difficult to explain through standard models. The phenomenon was briefly considered as a possible marker for advanced solar engineering before natural theories gained support. Even the explained signals reveal how complex and dynamic our nearest star truly is. Solar radio bursts can affect communications and electronics on Earth, making their study practically important. The mysterious narrowband emissions remind us that even familiar objects like our sun can surprise us. These signals continue to be monitored and studied as solar observation technology improves. The sun speaks in frequencies we are still learning to interpret. Bright flashes appear in high-altitude skies without storms. Pilots and high-altitude observers have long reported seeing bright flashes of light in the upper atmosphere on completely clear nights. These flashes differ from lightning in their altitude, color, and behavior, occurring far above where storms could exist. Blue jets, red sprites, and elves are now recognized as genuine atmospheric phenomena, but other flashes remain unexplained. Some appear as isolated points of brilliant light that pulse once and vanish without any apparent source. Others seem to ripple across the sky in ways that do not match known electrical phenomena. Satellite observations have occasionally captured similar flashes from orbit, confirming they exist beyond witness testimony. Scientists believe most represent undiscovered electrical discharge mechanisms in the upper atmosphere. The thin air at high altitudes allows energy to manifest in ways impossible closer to the surface. These mysterious sky flashes demonstrate that our atmosphere holds secrets kilometers above our heads. Each documented observation adds to our understanding of this vertical frontier. Deep underground instruments detect rhythms with no geological cause. Sensitive instruments buried deep within the Earth's crust have detected regular pulsing rhythms that appear to have no geological explanation. These detectors, originally designed to measure seismic activity, sometimes register signals with clock-like regularity. The rhythms differ from earthquake waves, underground water flow, or any known Earth process. Some pulses repeat at intervals of minutes, others at hours, following patterns that seem almost intentional. Researchers have ruled out instrumental error through cross-checking multiple independent detectors. The phenomenon occurs at various depths and locations, suggesting it may be a fundamental aspect of our planet's behavior. Some scientists propose unknown interaction between Earth's solid crust and its liquid core might generate these rhythms. Others suggest that cosmic phenomena like solar wind or lunar gravitational effects could play a role. The pulse of the planet remains one of geology's quieter mysteries, often overshadowed by more dramatic seismic events. Yet these deep rhythms hint at planetary processes we do not yet understand. Some mountains produce musical tones that change with seasons. Certain mountain peaks around the world are known to produce sustained musical tones that shift in pitch and character as the seasons change. These sounds can carry for kilometers, filling valleys with eerie harmonics that seem to emanate from the rock itself. Wind interaction with specific geological features explains some of these sounds, but not all cases fit this model. Some mountains sing even during calm periods when no wind registers on instruments. The tones often correlate with temperature changes that cause rocks to expand and contract, creating stress that releases as sound. Ice formation and melting also contribute unique acoustic signatures as glaciers and frozen water shift. Local peoples have incorporated these singing mountains into cultural traditions spanning thousands of years. Modern acoustic analysis reveals that some tones are remarkably pure, resembling musical instruments more than natural noise. The seasonal variations create a kind of geological symphony, with different movements for summer, autumn, winter, and spring. These musical mountains remind us that the Earth itself can be an instrument. Certain lakes glow at night, with no bioluminescent life present. Visitors to certain remote lakes have observed soft glowing emanating from the water on dark nights, yet biological surveys find no bioluminescent organisms present. Unlike the living light produced by dinoflagellates or bacteria, this glow appears uniform and does not respond to disturbance. Some researchers have proposed that dissolved minerals undergoing chemical reactions could produce faint luminescence. Others suggest that radioactive elements in the water or surrounding rocks might excite compounds to emit light. The phenomenon occurs most frequently in geothermally active regions where unusual mineral compositions are common. However, not all glowing lakes can be explained by these mechanisms, leaving some genuinely mysterious. The glow is typically too faint to photograph easily, making documentation challenging and relying heavily on witness accounts. Those who have seen these lakes describe the experience as deeply peaceful, like floating on liquid starlight. Scientists continue to collect water samples and conduct spectral analysis to identify the source of the light. These glowing lakes represent one of nature's gentler, unexplained phenomena. Flocks of birds change direction, as if sensing something invisible. Watching large flocks of birds twist and turn in perfect unison creates one of nature's most mesmerizing displays. These murmurations, as they are called, involve thousands of birds responding almost instantaneously to direction changes. The speed at which information travels through the flock exceeds what simple visual observation could explain. Each bird seems to know what its neighbors will do before the movement actually occurs. High-speed cameras have revealed that individual birds respond within milliseconds, faster than nerve impulses should allow. Mathematical models suggest birds follow simple rules about distance and alignment, yet these rules do not fully capture the phenomenon. Sometimes entire flocks will suddenly veer, as if responding to something unseen by human observers. Whether avoiding a predator imperceptible to us or responding to some other stimulus, the trigger remains mysterious. Some researchers believe birds possess collective intelligence or sensitivity to environmental factors we cannot detect. The phenomenon reminds us that even familiar creatures like birds harbor abilities beyond our current understanding. The atmosphere sometimes creates perfectly spherical ice in clear skies. Meteorology becomes mysterious when perfectly formed ice spheres fall from skies that show no sign of storm activity. These ice balls, sometimes the size of grapes or larger, have been collected and examined by puzzled scientists. Unlike hailstones that form in violent thunderstorms, these spheres appear on clear, calm days without any precipitation visible. Their structure reveals concentric layers of ice, suggesting repeated cycles of freezing, yet the atmospheric conditions to create such cycles seem absent. Some researchers propose that isolated convective cells too small to observe might briefly lift moisture to freezing altitudes. Others suggest that aircraft create ice that later falls when conditions change, though this does not explain all occurrences. The spheres are remarkably uniform, more perfectly round than typical hail, which tends to be irregular. Witnesses report them falling in isolation or in small clusters, never during traditional precipitation events. The phenomenon challenges our understanding of atmospheric ice formation processes. These mysterious ice spheres continue to puzzle meteorologists and collectors alike. Some glaciers release sounds that resemble singing. Glaciers are among the most vocal features on our planet, groaning and cracking as they slowly flow across the landscape. But certain glaciers produce sounds that transcend noise, releasing melodic tones that resemble human singing. These harmonic sounds emerge from deep within the ice, rising in pitch and falling in patterns that seem almost deliberate. Scientists have recorded these glacial songs and found they contain pure frequencies rarely produced by natural processes. The phenomenon appears to result from internal stresses as different layers of ice slide against each other. Meltwater flowing through tunnels and crevasses acts like air through an organ pipe, amplifying certain frequencies. Temperature changes cause the ice to expand and contract, adding rhythm to the melody. Researchers have noted that each glacier produces its own characteristic sound, like a frozen fingerprint. Indigenous peoples living near glaciers have incorporated these sounds into their oral traditions for countless generations. The singing glaciers remind us that even frozen landscapes can possess a voice. Remote islands experience sudden sky flashes with no known cause. Residents and researchers on isolated islands around the world have documented sudden bright flashes illuminating the night sky without any apparent source. These flashes differ from lightning in their duration, color, and the absence of any accompanying sound. Some appear to originate from specific points in the sky and expand outward before vanishing. Others seem to illuminate the entire dome of the sky simultaneously, as if the atmosphere itself is briefly glowing. Meteorological stations on these islands record no storm activity during the events. Satellite data sometimes confirms the flashes, ruling out purely localized atmospheric phenomena. Proposed explanations include high-altitude electrical discharges, meteor airbursts too small to detect, and unusual auroral activity. Yet none of these theories adequately explains all observed characteristics. The isolation of these islands means witnesses are few and scientific observation is challenging. These mysterious sky flashes add to the sense of wonder that remote places can inspire. Some clouds hold their shape for unnaturally long periods. Meteorologists expect clouds to change shape constantly as wind and temperature reshape them. Yet certain clouds maintain their precise form for hours or even days, defying normal atmospheric dynamics. Lenticular clouds standing above mountains can persist almost indefinitely, but other stationary clouds appear in open sky with no geographic anchoring. Observers have photographed clouds maintaining identical shapes across multiple days, despite winds that should have dispersed them. Some researchers suggest that stable atmospheric layers can trap clouds in configurations that resist normal dissipation. Others propose that unusual electrical charges might bind water droplets together more strongly than typical clouds. The phenomenon challenges our understanding of how clouds form and dissolve. These persistent clouds sometimes inspire local legends and interpretations. Their stability in a fundamentally unstable medium like the atmosphere remains genuinely puzzling. Static clouds remind us that even familiar phenomena can behave in ways we do not expect. Certain waterfalls produce floating orbs of light. Visitors to particular waterfalls have reported seeing softly glowing orbs of light that float above or near the cascading water. These lights appear most frequently at dusk and dawn, hovering in place before drifting slowly or vanishing suddenly. Unlike bioluminescent organisms or reflected moonlight, the orbs seem to generate their own illumination. Some researchers propose that the intense agitation of water produces electrical charges that occasionally discharge as visible light. This would be related to the phenomenon of triboelectric charging, where friction generates static electricity. Others suggest that mineral content in certain water sources might create phosphorescent mist under specific conditions. The orbs have been photographed and filmed, though their fleeting nature makes systematic study difficult. Folklore often attributes them to spirits or guardians of the water, a belief spanning many cultures. Scientists continue to investigate these lights while acknowledging that explanations remain incomplete. The mystery adds to the already magical atmosphere of waterfalls. Volcanoes emit harmonic vibrations that sound almost musical. Volcanoes are among Earth's most dramatic features, yet beneath their explosive power lies an unexpected musicality. Monitoring equipment has detected harmonic tremors emanating from volcanic systems that sound remarkably like musical instruments. These vibrations occur as magma moves through underground chambers and conduits, creating resonances similar to air flowing through organ pipes. Some volcanoes produce consistent tones that can be translated into audible frequencies and played as sound. The pitch and complexity of these volcanic harmonics change as conditions inside the volcano shift. Researchers use these sounds to monitor volcanic activity and predict potential eruptions. Certain volcanoes have become famous among scientists for their unique acoustic signatures. The phenomenon reveals that destruction and beauty can exist simultaneously within the same geological system. These volcanic songs have been recorded and shared with the public, transforming scientific data into audio experiences. The musical side of volcanoes reminds us that nature's most powerful forces can still hold surprising gentleness. Silent waves of light sweep across night skies without aurora. Away from polar regions, where auroras commonly dance, observers have occasionally witnessed silent waves of light sweeping across the night sky. These luminous waves differ from conventional auroras in their location, color, and pattern of movement. They appear as rippling curtains or pulses of illumination that travel across the entire visible sky. The phenomenon sometimes occurs on nights with high solar activity, but has also been recorded during solar quiet periods. Airglow, the faint emission of light by the upper atmosphere, may intensify in waves under certain conditions. Researchers have connected some events to gravity waves propagating through the upper atmosphere. These are not gravitational waves from space, but atmospheric pressure waves that undulate at high altitudes. The waves can enhance or suppress natural airglow, creating visible patterns of light. Whatever their cause, these sweeping illuminations create breathtaking displays for those fortunate enough to witness them. The phenomenon demonstrates that the night sky holds wonders beyond the familiar stars. Meteorites contain internal structures that defy familiar forms. When meteorites are cut and polished, they sometimes reveal internal structures unlike anything found on Earth. Widmanstatten patterns form geometric crystals that require millions of years of extremely slow cooling to develop. This rate of cooling could only occur in space, within the cores of large asteroids that have since broken apart. No terrestrial process can replicate these structures, making them uniquely extraterrestrial fingerprints. Some meteorites contain prosolar grains, tiny crystals older than our solar system itself. These grains formed in the atmospheres of ancient stars before our sun even existed. Other meteorites carry organic compounds in configurations not found in earthly chemistry. The pallasites contain olivine crystals suspended in metal, creating gem-like beauty within space rocks. Scientists study these internal structures to understand the formation and history of our solar system. Each meteorite becomes a time capsule carrying information from billions of years ago. The otherworldly interiors of meteorites remind us that we are connected to a much larger cosmic story. Some regions experience magnetic surges with no known trigger. Magnetometers around the world continuously monitor Earth's magnetic field, and occasionally they detect sudden surges that have no apparent cause. These magnetic anomalies can last from seconds to hours and affect areas ranging from small localities to entire continents. Solar storms and geomagnetic events explain many fluctuations, but some surges occur during geomagnetically quiet periods. Researchers have documented surges that appear in multiple locations simultaneously, suggesting a global rather than local cause. Underground movements of electrically conducting material could theoretically produce magnetic effects, but detection methods often find no correlating activity. Some scientists have proposed unknown interactions between Earth's core and mantle as potential explanations. Others look to external influences from cosmic rays or interplanetary magnetic fields for answers. These mysterious surges can affect power grids, communication systems, and navigation equipment. The sudden nature of the events makes them difficult to study in real time. Magnetic surges remind us that our planet's invisible shield remains somewhat unpredictable. Animals sense events long before they happen. Throughout history, animals have demonstrated an uncanny ability to sense natural disasters before humans perceive any warning signs. Elephants move to higher ground before tsunamis arrive, birds flee forests before wildfires ignite, and dogs become restless before earthquakes strike. Scientific studies have documented these behaviors extensively, confirming that animals often respond to coming events hours or even days in advance. Proposed mechanisms include sensitivity to infrasound, subtle ground vibrations, electrical field changes, and chemical signals humans cannot detect. Birds may sense pressure changes associated with approaching storms through specialized organs impossible for humans to possess. Fish have been observed behaving strangely before earthquakes, perhaps detecting changes in underwater electrical fields. Despite decades of research, scientists cannot fully explain how animals sense events that have not yet occurred. Some responses seem to precede any physical changes that current instruments can measure. The phenomenon suggests animals experience the world through senses we can barely imagine. This early warning capability remains one of biology's most practical mysteries. The deep ocean floor holds perfectly carved circular patterns. Submersibles exploring the ocean floor have discovered geometric circular patterns carved into the sediment with remarkable precision. Some resemble crop circles translated underwater, with radiating lines and concentric rings that appear almost designed. While male pufferfish are known to create elaborate sand sculptures to attract mates, many underwater circles defy this explanation. Some patterns appear at depths where no known pufferfish species exist. Others are carved into hard substrates that would require effort beyond what small fish could produce. The circles range from a few meters to dozens of meters in diameter, far larger than any documented fish artwork. Ocean currents were initially proposed as explanations, but the patterns often lack the asymmetry that flowing water would create. Some researchers suggest unknown organisms or geological processes might be responsible. The mystery deepens when patterns disappear and reappear in the same locations over time. These oceanic circles remind us that the deep sea conceals artists and architects we have yet to meet. Ball lightning moves with an unsettling sense of purpose. Among the most mysterious electrical phenomena, ball lightning appears as a glowing sphere that floats through the air with apparent intentionality. Unlike conventional lightning that flashes and vanishes, ball lightning can persist for several seconds while drifting, bouncing, or even navigating around obstacles. Witnesses consistently describe the spheres as seeming to possess awareness, entering through windows, following corridors, and avoiding people before disappearing. Scientists have struggled to explain ball lightning for centuries, with theories ranging from plasma vortices to burning silicon particles. The phenomenon is difficult to study because it cannot be reliably reproduced in laboratory conditions. When researchers have created similar plasma spheres, they behave differently from natural ball lightning reports suggest. Some observers report that ball lightning makes hissing or buzzing sounds as it moves. Others describe smell of ozone or sulfur accompanying the phenomenon. The apparent purposefulness of movement remains one of the most unsettling aspects of witness accounts. Ball lightning continues to challenge our understanding of electrical phenomena. Some fungi glow in patterns that follow lunar cycles. Bioluminescent fungi create some of nature's most magical displays, with mushrooms and mycelium networks emitting soft green or blue light in dark forests. While the basic chemistry of fungal bioluminescence is understood, some species exhibit light patterns that correlate with lunar phases. Researchers have documented fungi that glow brighter during full moons and dim during new moons, even in complete darkness underground. This pattern suggests the organisms are somehow tracking lunar cycles without exposure to moonlight. Some scientists propose that fungi might respond to gravitational or electromagnetic changes associated with the moon. Others suggest that internal biological clocks could be calibrated to lunar rhythms over evolutionary time. The purpose of this lunar correlation remains unclear, as bioluminescence serves various functions from attracting spore dispersers to repelling grazers. Whatever the mechanism, glowing mushrooms pulsing with the moon create an almost mystical connection between forest floors and celestial bodies. These lunar-linked fungi remind us that connections exist in nature that we are only beginning to perceive. Cold spots in open fields remain frozen year-round. Scattered across various landscapes, certain patches of ground remain frozen throughout the year, even when surrounding areas experience normal seasonal warming. These persistent cold spots defy local climate conditions, maintaining ice or frost while adjacent land basks in summer heat. Underground springs carrying cold water can explain some cases, but many cold spots lack any detectable water source. Researchers have measured temperature differences of several degrees between these spots and the surrounding terrain. Some cold spots occupy the same location for decades or longer, becoming local landmarks well known to residents. Proposed explanations include underground air circulation that brings cold air to the surface from deep caves. Others suggest unusual soil compositions might create insulating layers that trap winter temperatures year-round. Geothermal processes can occasionally create cold spots through gas expansion effects. Indigenous peoples often attribute special significance to these perpetually frozen places. The cold spots remind us that even familiar landscapes can harbor pockets of persistent mystery. Explosive booms occur from completely clear skies. Communities around the world have experienced sudden explosive booms that seem to emanate from clear, cloudless skies. These mystery booms rattle windows and shake houses, but leave no evidence of their source. Unlike thunder, they occur without any visible lightning or storm activity. Sonic booms from aircraft were initially blamed, but many events occur in areas with no flight paths. Seismic activity was considered, but monitoring stations often detect no corresponding earthquake. Some researchers propose that supersonic meteors could produce booms without creating visible fireballs. Others suggest unusual atmospheric electrical discharges might generate sound without traditional lightning. Industrial noise can occasionally propagate unexpectedly far under specific atmospheric conditions, yet many sky booms remain unexplained after thorough investigation. The phenomenon has generated significant local concern in affected communities. These explosive sounds from nowhere demonstrate that even our familiar atmosphere can behave in startling ways. Some meteor trails pause and brighten unexpectedly. Meteors typically streak across the sky in continuous arcs, burning steadily as they descend through the atmosphere. However, observers have documented cases where meteor trails appear to pause, brighten dramatically, and then resume or change direction. These anomalous behaviors cannot be explained by standard atmospheric entry physics. Some researchers suggest that meteors occasionally fragment internally, causing sudden releases of energy that alter their visible characteristics. Others propose that tumbling irregular shapes could create variable aerodynamic drag, producing apparent pauses. Atmospheric density variations might also affect burn rates in unexpected ways. Yet none of these explanations fully accounts for reported direction changes. High-speed cameras have captured some of these events, confirming they exist beyond subjective perception. The phenomenon has fascinated meteor observers who spend countless hours watching the night sky. These unusual meteors remind us that even well-understood processes can occasionally behave in surprising ways. Certain desert pools never evaporate despite intense heat. In some of the world's hottest deserts, small pools of water persist year after year without drying up entirely. These permanent oases exist where no springs are visible and no obvious water source can be identified. The intense desert sun should evaporate such pools within days or weeks, yet they remain. Some researchers propose that these pools are fed by underground aquifers through channels too small or too deep to detect easily. Others suggest that unusual mineral compositions in the water might reduce evaporation rates significantly. Certain dissolved salts can lower vapor pressure and slow evaporation. Some pools exhibit condensation cycles where nighttime temperature drops allow them to recapture moisture lost during the day. The most mysterious examples show no evidence of any replenishment mechanism, yet persist for decades. These permanent desert pools support unique ecosystems in otherwise barren landscapes. They remind us that water finds ways to persist even in the most hostile environments. Fireflies synchronize their flashing across entire forests. In certain forests around the world, thousands of fireflies flash their lights in perfect synchronization, creating waves of illumination that sweep through the trees. This collective behavior was long considered impossible, with early skeptics suggesting observers were simply blinking in rhythm with random flashes. However, scientific observation has confirmed that fireflies can indeed coordinate their timing across large groups. The phenomenon occurs in species found in Southeast Asia, the Americas, and other regions. Researchers believe fireflies use a mechanism called phase synchronization, adjusting their internal timers based on neighboring flashes. Each individual firefly acts as a tiny oscillator that couples with others to achieve collective rhythm. The purpose appears to be communication efficiency, as synchronized flashing may help females locate males more easily. The speed at which synchronization emerges from initial chaos has surprised mathematical modelers studying collective behavior. These glowing forests demonstrate how simple rules can produce complex, coordinated phenomena. Some people experience déjà vu in places they have never visited. The sensation of déjà vu, feeling that one has experienced the present moment before, typically attaches to familiar activities or locations. More mysteriously, some people report intense déjà vu sensations when entering places they have demonstrably never visited. These experiences go beyond vague familiarity, sometimes including specific knowledge of what lies around corners or behind closed doors. Scientists have proposed that memory processing errors might create false recognition when scenes resemble previously encountered environments. The brain's pattern-matching systems might trigger familiarity responses based on partial similarities. Some researchers suggest that dreams we forget might contain imagery that later matches real locations. Others explore whether media exposure could implant location memories without conscious recollection. The phenomenon becomes particularly mysterious when the specific knowledge proves accurate. Whatever the explanation, these experiences challenge our understanding of memory and recognition. Place-based déjà vu reminds us that consciousness processes reality in ways we do not fully comprehend. Ancient walls fit together with impossible precision. Archaeological sites around the world feature stonework that fits together with tolerances rivaling modern precision engineering. The walls of Sacsayhuaman in Peru contain massive stones cut to interlock so perfectly that even thin blades cannot be inserted between them. Similar precision appears in ancient Egyptian, Greek, and Asian construction. The mystery lies not in the concept of precise fitting, but in how such accuracy was achieved with ancient tools. Some stones weigh hundreds of tons and feature irregular shapes that still match their neighbors perfectly. Modern engineers have struggled to replicate this precision even with advanced cutting technology. The time and labor required to achieve such fits through trial and error would seem prohibitive. Some researchers propose lost techniques involving softening stone or using unknown cutting methods. Others suggest ancient builders simply invested enormous skilled effort that modern economics would not permit. The precision itself has never been adequately explained. These interlocking stones stand as monuments to capabilities we do not fully understand. Shadows move independently of light on certain mountains. On particular mountain slopes, observers have reported watching shadows move in ways that do not correspond to any change in light source. These anomalous shadows drift across rock faces, lengthen and shorten irregularly, and sometimes appear in the absence of any object that could cast them. While atmospheric distortion can create moving shadows through heat shimmer and air density variations, some reported events exceed these explanations. Witnesses describe shadows that move against the direction sunlight should push them. Others report shadows that appear to respond to observers' changing position when attention focuses on them. Local legends often attribute these shadows to spirits or ancient presences inhabiting the mountains. Scientists who have investigated typically find conventional explanations for specific cases, but acknowledge that some observations resist easy interpretation. The phenomenon appears most often at dawn and dusk, when lighting conditions are most complex. These independent shadows add an element of mystery to already dramatic mountain landscapes. Dark clouds in space absorb all light, yet emit none. Scattered throughout the galaxy, dense molecular clouds block the light of stars behind them, creating dark silhouettes against the luminous backdrop of space. These clouds are among the darkest objects in the visible universe, absorbing nearly all light that strikes them. Most cosmic objects either emit or reflect light, but these dark nebulae do neither in visible wavelengths. The clouds consist primarily of molecular hydrogen and various forms of cosmic dust that efficiently trap radiation. Inside these clouds, temperatures drop to just a few degrees above absolute zero. Despite their dark appearance in visible light, they glow faintly in infrared wavelengths as their molecules slowly release energy. These clouds serve as stellar nurseries, with new stars eventually igniting within their depths. The contrast between their darkness and their creative potential fascinates astronomers. When stars finally form, they illuminate the very clouds that birthed them. These cosmic shadows remind us that absence can be as significant as presence in understanding the universe. Whale songs change completely from year to year. The haunting songs of humpback whales represent some of the most complex vocalizations in the animal kingdom, yet they undergo complete transformation from one year to the next. Male humpbacks in a given population all sing essentially the same song during a breeding season. However, the following year's song shares almost nothing with the previous version. This rapid cultural evolution puzzles researchers who study animal communication. Most animal calls remain stable across generations, serving consistent purposes in survival and reproduction. Whale songs appear to be learned rather than instinctive, passed from individual to individual across the ocean. New phrases spread through populations like musical trends, replacing old ones within a single season. The purpose of these elaborate songs remains debated, with theories ranging from mate attraction to territorial declaration. Even more mysterious, songs sometimes spread between distinct populations separated by vast oceanic distances. These evolving whale songs suggest a form of marine culture that changes faster than most human traditions. Electronic devices fail in certain valleys without magnetic cores. In scattered locations around the world, electronic devices malfunction or fail completely without any detectable magnetic or electromagnetic interference. Compasses, phones, cameras, and GPS units cease functioning when visitors enter these areas. Systematic surveys using magnetometers find no anomalies that would explain the failures. The devices typically resume normal operation upon leaving the affected zone. Some researchers propose that unusual geological formations might produce shielding effects that block signals. Others suggest that localized electrical phenomena we cannot yet detect might disrupt circuitry. Human perception might also play a role, with increased anxiety in mysterious locations leading to operator errors mistaken for equipment failure. Yet some cases involve multiple independent devices failing simultaneously in ways that seem impossible to attribute to coincidence. These electronic dead zones often correlate with locations that have long histories of strange reports. The failure of our technological extensions in certain places reminds us that the world still contains spaces resistant to our tools. Some auroras form shapes resembling living creatures. Auroras typically manifest as curtains, arcs, or diffuse glows as charged particles from the sun interact with our atmosphere. Occasionally, however, aurora displays produce shapes that appear remarkably lifelike, resembling birds, serpents, or other creatures. These formations can persist for several minutes while appearing to move with purposeful motion. Atmospheric scientists attribute these shapes to complex interactions between magnetic fields and particle flows that occasionally align to create recognizable patterns. The human brain excels at finding familiar shapes in random patterns, a phenomenon called pareidolia. Yet some aurora formations prove surprisingly detailed and persist in ways that seem beyond random chance. Northern cultures have long interpreted some auroral displays as spirits or ancestors dancing in the sky. Modern observers armed with cameras have captured forms that spark widespread fascination when shared online. Whether these shapes are meaningful or coincidental, they add to the magic of aurora viewing. The occasional creatures of light dancing overhead remind us that nature can still surprise us with beauty. The human body occasionally produces unexplained heat bursts. Medical literature contains numerous cases of individuals experiencing sudden intense heat sensations that radiate from their bodies. These heat bursts differ from fever or menopausal flashes in their localization and intensity. Some cases have been documented with thermal imaging showing actual temperature increases in specific body regions. The episodes typically last only minutes, but can be quite uncomfortable or even alarming for those experiencing them. Standard medical explanations, including nerve compression and vascular anomalies, account for some cases, but not all. Some individuals experience these bursts in patterns that correlate with emotional states or environmental factors. Others report them occurring randomly without any detectable trigger. The phenomenon remains understudied because episodes are unpredictable and difficult to capture during medical examinations. Those who experience regular heat bursts often develop coping strategies but rarely receive satisfying explanations. The human body occasionally reminds us that we do not fully understand the biological machinery we inhabit. Forests sometimes produce sweet scents with no plant source. Walkers through certain forests have reported encountering sudden pockets of intensely sweet fragrance that seem to have no botanical source. These mysterious scents range from floral to honey-like to entirely unfamiliar but pleasant aromas. Careful investigation of the surrounding vegetation often fails to identify any plant capable of producing the detected fragrance. Some researchers propose that unusual combinations of common plant emissions might create novel scent profiles under specific conditions. Others suggest that fungal activity in soil or decaying matter could release aromatic compounds in concentrated bursts. Bacterial metabolism of organic matter also produces various odorous compounds, some quite pleasant. The phenomenon often occurs in old-growth forests where complex biological interactions are most abundant. Witnesses describe the experience as profoundly calming, as if the forest itself is offering a gift. The scents typically occupy limited areas and may be present one moment and gone the next. These mysterious fragrances add sensory wonder to already enchanting woodland environments. Stones move across desert floors without wind. In remote desert locations, heavy stones leave long trails in the sand or clay as they travel across flat surfaces without any visible force moving them. The famous sailing stones of Death Valley puzzled observers for decades before researchers finally documented the mechanism. Thin ice sheets forming during rare cold nights can actually float stones across wind-driven water. Yet not all moving stones fit this explanation, particularly those in locations where such conditions cannot occur. Some stones move during seasons when freezing is impossible. Others travel paths that curve in ways that ice rafting cannot explain. The trails left behind can extend hundreds of meters, suggesting sustained force over significant time periods. Ancient peoples often attributed spiritual significance to these wandering stones. The phenomenon serves as a reminder that natural processes can produce results that initially seem impossible. Even after partial explanation, the image of stones walking through deserted landscapes retains its mysterious appeal. Some rivers briefly reverse flow for no geological reason. Rivers flowing toward the sea occasionally reverse direction, with water streaming temporarily upstream before resuming normal flow. Tidal influences explain reversals near coastlines, where incoming tides can push river water backward. However, some reversals occur far inland, where tidal forces cannot reach. Seismic events can cause temporary flow reversals through ground deformation, but some incidents occur during seismically quiet periods. Researchers have proposed that sudden changes in underground water tables might create pressure differentials capable of reversing surface flow. Others suggest that atmospheric pressure variations could theoretically affect river movement under extreme conditions. Whatever the cause, witnessing a river flowing the wrong way creates a profoundly disorienting experience. Local communities along affected rivers often incorporate these events into folklore and tradition. The phenomenon demonstrates that even fundamental aspects of landscape, like water flowing downhill, can occasionally behave unexpectedly. Rivers running backward remind us that nature's rules sometimes have surprising exceptions. Spiral clouds form in perfectly calm weather. Meteorologists are accustomed to seeing spiral patterns in storm systems where rotating winds create characteristic shapes. More mysteriously, spiral cloud formations sometimes appear in stable, calm atmospheric conditions where no rotation should exist. These spirals can range from small wisps to massive formations visible from space. Some form and dissipate within hours, while others persist for days before slowly unwinding. Standard explanations involving wind shear and atmospheric instability cannot always account for the observed patterns. The mathematical perfection of some spirals suggests underlying order that defies chaotic atmospheric mixing. Researchers have proposed that subtle interactions between air masses of different temperatures might create organized circulation even in apparently stable conditions. Others suggest that gravitational effects from mountains or other terrain features could induce rotation. Whatever their cause, these calm weather spirals create striking visual displays that capture attention from ground and satellite observers alike. The unexpected order of these formations reminds us that the atmosphere holds geometric secrets. Cave echoes sometimes return in completely different pitches. The acoustics of caves produce some of the most dramatic echo effects in nature, with sounds bouncing off stone walls and returning to the source. Normally, echoes preserve the frequency of the original sound, returning at the same pitch if somewhat distorted. However, spelunkers have documented cave chambers where echoes return in completely different pitches than the original sound. A shouted word might return as a higher or lower version of itself. These pitch-shifted echoes seem to violate basic physics of sound reflection. Some researchers propose that certain cave geometries create resonance effects that selectively amplify certain frequencies while suppressing others. Others suggest that multiple overlapping echoes might interfere in ways that produce perceived pitch changes. The phenomenon occurs in caves with complex arrangements of chambers and passages that create unusual acoustic environments. Cave explorers who encounter these pitch-shifting echoes report them as profoundly strange experiences. The acoustic mysteries of caves remind us that sound behaves in ways we do not always expect. Some seeds germinate only under rare cosmic conditions. Certain plant species have evolved germination requirements so specific that seeds may wait years or decades for the right conditions to sprout. More mysteriously, some seeds seem to respond to cosmic factors we do not fully understand. Researchers have documented cases where seeds germinate in patterns that correlate with solar cycles or geomagnetic activity. Seeds of some species show increased germination rates following strong solar flares or during periods of high cosmic ray intensity. The mechanisms behind these patterns remain unclear, though some scientists propose that radiation might break seed coat dormancy. Others suggest that subtle electromagnetic changes in the environment could trigger biochemical processes within seeds. Certain seeds carried on space missions have shown altered germination patterns upon return to Earth. The phenomenon suggests plants may be more sensitive to their cosmic environment than we typically assume. Seeds waiting for specific celestial alignments are remarkable, if difficult to explain. These connections between germination and cosmos remind us of unexpected links between Earth and space. Deep ocean sensors detect regular pulses like a heartbeat. Instruments monitoring the deep ocean floor have recorded regular pulsing signals that repeat with remarkable consistency. These underwater heartbeats occur at intervals ranging from seconds to minutes, maintaining their rhythm over extended periods. The pulses appear on different types of sensors, including pressure monitors, seismometers, and acoustic devices. While undersea volcanic activity produces various rhythmic signals, these heartbeat pulses often occur in areas far from volcanic zones. Some researchers have proposed that ocean currents interacting with underwater ridges might create regular pressure variations. Others suggest that biological sources, perhaps very large organisms, might be responsible. The deep ocean remains almost entirely unexplored, with most of its volume never observed by human eyes or cameras. Regular pulses from the abyss fuel speculation about what processes might operate in those crushing depths. The phenomenon proves difficult to study due to the extreme conditions at the ocean floor. These oceanic heartbeats suggest the deep sea holds rhythms we are only beginning to detect. Silent lightning travels upward from the ground. Most lightning we observe travels from cloud to ground, following the path of least electrical resistance through the atmosphere. However, certain types of lightning travel in the opposite direction, shooting upward from tall structures or elevated terrain toward the clouds. Ground-to-cloud lightning occurs during thunderstorms when positive electrical charges at the surface connect with negative charges in the atmosphere above. What makes these discharges mysterious is that they often occur silently, without the characteristic thunder that accompanies normal lightning. The upward path and different electrical polarity may produce acoustic signatures that propagate differently through the atmosphere. These silent skyward bolts were long thought to be rare, but are now recognized as more common than previously believed. They pose particular hazards to tall structures and aircraft, which may not anticipate lightning striking from below. High-speed cameras have captured the branching patterns of upward lightning reaching toward the clouds. The phenomenon reveals that electrical activity in storms is more complex than the simple cloud-to-ground model suggests. Silent ascending lightning adds another dimension to atmospheric electrical mysteries. Certain lakes form perfect hexagonal ice patterns naturally. When some lakes freeze, the ice surface organizes itself into remarkably regular hexagonal patterns that extend across the entire surface. These patterns resemble manufactured honeycomb structures more than natural ice formation. While ice crystals naturally form hexagonal shapes at the molecular level, the emergence of large-scale hexagonal patterns across lakes involves different physics. Researchers believe that convection currents in cooling water create organized circulation cells that leave geometric impressions as the surface freezes. The hexagons result from the same mathematical principles that govern honeycomb construction, where hexagonal packing achieves optimal efficiency. Yet the perfection of some natural examples exceeds what simple physical models predict. Certain lakes consistently produce more perfect hexagons than others, suggesting local conditions that favor geometric regularity. Aerial photographs of these patterned ice surfaces create images that seem almost artificial in their precision. The phenomenon demonstrates that nature tends toward efficient geometric solutions even without conscious design. These hexagonal ice formations remind us that mathematical beauty emerges spontaneously throughout the natural world. The Taos hum has puzzled researchers for decades. Residents of Taos, New Mexico, have reported hearing a persistent low-frequency humming sound since at least the early 1990s. This mysterious hum, audible to some but not others, has inspired extensive scientific investigation without definitive resolution. Those who hear it describe a deep droning sound that seems to permeate the environment without clear direction. Studies have measured various environmental sounds, but failed to identify any source matching witness descriptions. Only about 2% of Taos residents report hearing the hum, suggesting individual sensitivity rather than universal physical sound. Similar hums have been reported in other locations worldwide, creating a pattern that suggests shared underlying causes. Proposed explanations include industrial machinery, underground geological activity, and electromagnetic phenomena affecting sensitive individuals. The selective audibility of the sound adds to its mysterious nature. Whether the Taos hum represents a real external sound or a neurological phenomenon remains debated. The persistence of the mystery despite years of investigation demonstrates how challenging some unexplained phenomena can be to resolve. Rogue waves appear suddenly in calm seas. For centuries, sailors told stories of massive waves appearing without warning in otherwise calm seas, only to be dismissed by scientists as exaggeration. Modern instrumentation has now confirmed that rogue waves are entirely real and far more common than previously thought. These solitary giants can reach heights several times greater than surrounding waves, rising from the sea and disappearing within moments. A rogue wave can exceed 30 meters in height, enough to damage or sink even large vessels. The physics behind their formation involves complex interactions between currents, winds, and wave patterns that occasionally align to produce temporary monsters. Once formed, rogue waves travel briefly before dissipating back into normal sea states. They can occur in any ocean and at any time, making them nearly impossible to predict with current technology. The phenomenon has forced revision of maritime safety standards and ship design criteria. Rogue waves represent rare but dangerous convergences of oceanic factors. The sea's capacity to suddenly unleash such giants reminds us of nature's unpredictable power. Some people hear phantom music with no external source. A percentage of the population experiences musical ear syndrome, perceiving music that has no external source. Unlike auditory hallucinations associated with mental illness, this phantom music typically occurs in individuals with normal psychological function. The music often takes the form of familiar songs, hymns, or classical pieces heard clearly as if playing nearby. The phenomenon most commonly affects older adults and those with some degree of hearing loss. Scientists believe the brain, deprived of normal auditory input, generates patterns that the conscious mind interprets as music. This represents the brain filling in missing sensory information with internally generated content. The experience can range from mildly pleasant to quite disturbing, depending on the music and its persistence. Some people hear the same song repeatedly for days, while others experience varied selections. There is no cure, though hearing aids sometimes reduce episodes by providing real auditory input. Phantom music demonstrates how actively our brains construct our perceived reality from limited sensory data. Unexplained footprints appear in freshly fallen snow. Throughout history, people have discovered footprints in fresh snow that seem impossible to explain through normal means. These prints sometimes appear in isolated locations where no creatures should be present. Others display shapes that match no known animal or human foot. Famous incidents include chains of prints crossing undisturbed snow fields with no visible entry or exit points. Hoaxes account for some reports, but many cases resist easy dismissal based on the circumstances of discovery. Tracks have appeared on remote mountainsides, in enclosed spaces, and crossing bodies of water that should have hidden any prints. Some prints show characteristics like perfect regularity or unusual depth that seem inconsistent with living creatures. Wildlife experts confronted with such tracks often cannot identify the maker. The phenomenon has sparked folklore about unknown creatures and mysterious visitors throughout many cultures. Whether unexplained prints result from unusual animal behavior, rare weather effects, or other causes remains uncertain. These mysterious tracks remind us that not every question finds an easy answer. Compass needles sometimes point in impossible directions. Navigators trust compasses to point toward magnetic north, yet occasionally compass needles point in directions that make no logical sense. Some reports describe needles spinning continuously or pointing directly opposite their expected orientation. Others describe compasses pointing toward local features rather than any cardinal direction. While magnetic anomalies, iron deposits, and electrical interference explain many cases, some occurrences lack any detectable cause. Ships and aircraft have reported compass failures in areas where subsequent surveys find no magnetic irregularities. Temporary magnetic events from solar activity can affect compasses, but some incidents occur during geomagnetically quiet periods. The phenomenon becomes more mysterious when multiple independent compasses fail simultaneously in the same location. Navigators in the era before GPS relied heavily on compasses and kept detailed logs of unusual compass behavior. Those records contain many entries that remain unexplained by modern analysis. Compass anomalies remind us that our planet's magnetic field, though generally reliable, can behave in unexpected ways. Certain photographs capture light anomalies invisible to the eye. Photographers have long noticed that cameras sometimes capture light phenomena that were not visible when the picture was taken. These anomalies range from subtle glows to dramatic streaks and orbs of light absent from the original scene. While most can be explained by lens flare, dust particles, or camera malfunction, some resist easy technical explanation. Infrared-sensitive cameras may detect heat sources invisible to human eyes, but some anomalies appear in standard visible light photography. The phenomenon raises questions about what light patterns exist in our environment beyond our perceptual range. Camera sensors respond differently than human eyes, potentially recording reflections and emissions we cannot perceive. Some photographers have specialized in capturing these anomalies, building collections of unexplained light forms. Whether these represent undiscovered natural phenomena, equipment artifacts, or something else remains debated. The gap between what cameras record and what eyes see demonstrates the limitations of human perception. Photographic anomalies remind us that our visible world represents only a fraction of electromagnetic reality. The WOW signal remains unexplained after decades of study. On an August evening in 1977, a radio telescope in Ohio detected a signal so remarkable that the astronomer reviewing the data wrote WOW in the margins. This 72-second burst at a frequency associated with hydrogen stood out dramatically from normal cosmic background noise. The signal appeared to originate from the direction of the constellation Sagittarius, yet no star or known source occupied that location. Despite decades of subsequent observation, the signal has never repeated and its source remains unknown. The frequency was particularly intriguing because it matches one that scientists have proposed as ideal for interstellar communication. Various explanations have been offered, including comets, secret satellites, and natural astronomical phenomena. None have been definitively confirmed, though a comet hypothesis gained some support in recent years. The WOW signal represents one of the most famous items in the search for extraterrestrial intelligence. Whether it represented a fleeting natural event or something more significant may never be known. This single data point continues to inspire wonder and speculation about what might be broadcasting across the cosmos. Some people wake at the exact time they intend without alarms. Many people possess the ability to wake themselves at precise predetermined times without any external alarm. This natural wake-up ability works with surprising accuracy, often within minutes of the intended time. Scientists have studied this phenomenon and found it involves unconscious time tracking that continues during sleep. The brain appears to monitor elapsed time even while conscious awareness is suspended. Stress hormones begin rising approximately an hour before the anticipated wake time, gradually preparing the body for awakening. The accuracy improves with practice and intention, suggesting this is a trainable skill rather than random luck. However, the mechanism by which sleeping brains track external time remains poorly understood. Some researchers propose that subtle environmental cues like light changes or regular sounds might help calibrate internal clocks. Others believe purely internal circadian processes can achieve the necessary precision. The phenomenon demonstrates that consciousness is not required for sophisticated cognitive functions. Natural waking reminds us that our sleeping minds are more capable than we often assume. Unexplained circles appear in crops around the world. For decades, large geometric patterns have appeared mysteriously overnight in agricultural fields around the world. These crop circles range from simple circles to enormously complex designs featuring mathematical precision and artistic sophistication. While many have been revealed as human-made hoaxes, questions persist about some cases that seem to defy easy explanation. Certain formations appear under circumstances where human creation seems logistically difficult or impossible given time constraints. The affected plants sometimes show physical changes at the cellular level that differ from simple mechanical bending. Soil composition within formations has occasionally tested differently from surrounding areas. Advocates for mysterious origins point to these anomalies as evidence of unusual phenomena. Skeptics counter that clever hoaxers could produce such effects through methods not yet identified. The debate continues with neither side able to definitively prove their position for all cases. Whether all crop circles result from human activity or some represent genuinely unexplained phenomena remains contested. The formations have become cultural phenomena that inspire wonder regardless of their origins. Certain locations produce unexplained feelings of unease. Some places inspire feelings of profound unease in visitors without any obvious threatening feature. These locations might appear peaceful and ordinary, yet produce consistent reports of discomfort, anxiety, or dread among those who enter. Researchers have investigated whether infrasound, electromagnetic fields, or other physical factors might explain these effects. Infrasound below the range of human hearing can produce feelings of unease and has been detected at some locations. Certain electromagnetic frequencies affect brain function in ways that could alter mood or perception. However, not all unease-inducing locations show detectable physical anomalies. Some scientists propose that subtle environmental cues trigger unconscious threat detection learned through evolution. Others suggest that shared cultural expectations and suggestibility play significant roles. The consistency of reports across different visitors who know nothing of a location's reputation adds mystery to some cases. Whatever the cause, these places of unease demonstrate that our nervous systems respond to environmental factors beyond conscious awareness. The phenomenon reminds us that perception involves more than we consciously recognize. The Bermuda Triangle has puzzled sailors for centuries. The region of the Atlantic Ocean bounded by Miami, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico has been associated with mysterious disappearances for generations. Ships and aircraft have vanished in this area under circumstances that have spawned countless theories and speculation. Popular accounts have attributed the disappearances to everything from underwater methane eruptions to magnetic anomalies to more exotic explanations. Careful statistical analysis, however, suggests that the Bermuda Triangle may not actually have more disappearances than comparable oceanic regions. The area sees heavy traffic, severe weather, and challenging navigation conditions that could explain incident rates. Coast Guard records do not support the idea that the region is unusually dangerous. Yet the persistence of the legend and the genuine mystery surrounding some specific cases keeps interest alive. Certain incidents do involve puzzling circumstances that resist complete explanation. The Bermuda Triangle has become a cultural phenomenon that transcends its factual basis. Whether mysterious or merely misunderstood, the region continues to capture imaginations around the world. Some ancient maps show coastlines that should not have been known. Historians studying antique cartography have encountered maps that appear to depict geographical features unknown to mapmakers of their era. The Peary Rise map from 1513 shows what appears to be the coastline of Antarctica, which was not officially discovered until 1820. Other ancient maps display accurate longitude measurements before the development of tools capable of such precision. Some maps show rivers and coastlines that subsequent exploration confirmed, but were unknown when the maps were supposedly created. Various explanations have been proposed, from lost advanced civilizations to misinterpretation of what the maps actually show. Closer examination reveals that some anomalous maps may represent imaginative interpolation rather than actual knowledge. Others might incorporate information from sources now lost to history. The accuracy of certain features remains genuinely puzzling to scholars who study these documents. Whether these maps represent forgotten knowledge, remarkable coincidence, or misunderstanding remains debated. Anomalous cartography reminds us that the history of human knowledge may be more complex than we assume. Unexplained sounds echo through the ocean depths. Hydrophone networks monitoring the world's oceans have captured numerous sounds that defy easy explanation. The deep ocean is far from silent, filled with the calls of whales, the rumble of submarine earthquakes, and the noise of shipping. Yet some recorded sounds match nothing in the catalogues of known sources. The bloop, recorded in 1997, was one of the loudest sounds ever detected, audible across thousands of kilometers. Initially thought to possibly be biological, its source was later attributed to ice carving from Antarctic glaciers. Other sounds, including Julia, the upsweep, and the train, remain less conclusively explained. Some exhibit biological characteristics, but come from depths where no known creature could survive. Others pulse with regularity that seems almost mechanical. The ocean constitutes Earth's last great unexplored frontier, with more humans having walked on the moon than visited the deepest trenches. What creatures or processes might produce these sounds remains largely speculative. The voices of the deep remind us how little we truly know about our own planet. Spontaneous combustion has been documented but never explained. Throughout history, there have been disturbing accounts of human bodies burning intensely without any apparent external ignition source. These cases of alleged spontaneous human combustion typically involve nearly complete destruction of the body, while surrounding materials remain relatively undamaged. Investigators have found remains reduced to ash with temperatures that seem to exceed what nearby flammables could produce. Skeptics point to the wick effect, where body fat can fuel slow burning once ignited by a small external flame. This explanation accounts for some cases, but not the extreme localization of damage seen in others. The phenomenon, if genuine, would require an internal source of ignition that science cannot currently identify. Medical and forensic experts remain divided on whether true spontaneous combustion can occur. The rarity and unpredictability of alleged cases make systematic study essentially impossible. Cultural fascination with the phenomenon has generated many fictional accounts that blur the line with genuine historical reports. Whether spontaneous combustion represents a real phenomenon or a persistent myth remains unresolved. Some people report memories that do not match their lives. A subset of people report possessing vivid memories of events that demonstrably did not occur in their lives. These are not simple errors of recall, but detailed recollections with sensory richness and emotional weight. Some individuals remember growing up in places their families never lived. Others recall significant life events that no evidence supports and that no other witnesses confirm. Psychologists attribute most such cases to false memory formation, where imagination and suggestion create experiences indistinguishable from genuine memories. The brain does not distinguish between real and imagined events once they are encoded as memories. Source confusion, where details from different origins blend together, further complicates memory reliability. Yet some cases involve memories so specific and checkable that their falseness is surprising. The phenomenon reveals fundamental limitations in how we construct our personal narratives. Our sense of identity depends heavily on memories that may not accurately represent the past. False memories remind us that subjective experience and objective reality can diverge in disturbing ways. Unusual cloud formations appear before major earthquakes. For centuries, people have reported seeing strange cloud formations in the skies before major earthquakes strike. These earthquake clouds, as they are sometimes called, take various forms from linear streaks to unusual shapes that stand out against normal weather patterns. Scientific opinion on whether these observations represent genuine precursors remains divided. Some researchers propose that stress in rock formations before earthquakes releases gases or charges that could affect cloud formation. Others suggest that electromagnetic emissions from stressed rock might influence atmospheric conditions locally. Satellite imagery has occasionally captured unusual cloud patterns over areas that subsequently experienced seismic activity. However, establishing causation rather than coincidence proves extremely difficult given the rarity and unpredictability of earthquakes. Many scientists remain skeptical that any reliable connection exists between clouds and seismic events. The search for earthquake prediction methods makes any potential precursor worthy of investigation. Whether earthquake clouds represent a genuine phenomenon or confirmation bias among observers remains an open question. The placebo effect works even when patients know they receive placebos. The placebo effect represents one of medicine's most mysterious phenomena, with inert treatments producing real physiological improvements in patients. For decades, the effect was assumed to require patient belief in treatment efficacy. However, recent research has discovered that placebo treatments can work even when patients know they are receiving inactive substances. These open-label placebos have shown effectiveness in treating conditions including chronic pain, irritable bowel syndrome, and fatigue. The findings challenge fundamental assumptions about how mind and body interact in healing. Researchers propose that the ritual of treatment itself may trigger healing responses independent of conscious belief. The act of taking a pill, receiving care, and participating in a healing context may activate biological processes. The implications for understanding consciousness, expectation, and biology remain profound. Honest placebo treatment could theoretically provide benefits without the ethical concerns of deception. The phenomenon suggests our bodies respond to healing contexts in ways that transcend rational understanding. Open-label placebos remind us that the boundaries between mind and body are far more fluid than assumed. Some twins report feeling each other's pain across distances. Identical twins share a genetic bond closer than any other human relationship, and many report experiencing connections that seem to transcend physical separation. Stories of twins feeling each other's pain, emotions, or significant life events across great distances appear throughout history and across cultures. While science has not confirmed any mechanism for such connections, the consistency of reports is striking. Some researchers have attempted controlled experiments to test twin telepathy with mixed results. The statistical significance of any positive findings remains debated. Skeptics attribute these reports to coincidence, shared genetic predispositions to similar experiences, and selective memory for confirming events. Yet twins themselves often feel certain their experiences represent genuine connection. The close genetic match between identical twins means their brains develop very similarly, which might create parallel responses to similar stimuli. Whether twin connection represents something beyond current scientific understanding or is explainable through known mechanisms remains unclear. These twin experiences remind us that human bonds can feel more profound than science can yet explain. Unexplained symbols appear carved into ancient megaliths. Megalithic structures around the world bear carved symbols whose meanings have been lost to time. These enigmatic markings range from simple geometric shapes to complex patterns that appear to encode information. Some symbols repeat across sites separated by thousands of kilometers, suggesting either contact between ancient cultures or independent discovery of significant forms. Archaeologists have proposed various interpretations, including astronomical notation, territorial markers, and religious symbolism. The cup and ring marks found throughout Europe and other continents remain particularly puzzling in their consistency and distribution. Some symbols appear designed for specific viewing conditions, becoming visible only under certain lighting or from particular angles. Others seem purely decorative, while some suggest counting or record-keeping functions. The meaning of these ancient communications may be forever lost, as their creators left no explanatory context. Each interpretation remains speculative without written records or cultural continuity to guide understanding. These silent messages from the past remind us that ancient peoples had rich inner lives we can only imagine. Certain frequencies of sound can cause unexplained feelings of dread. Researchers have documented that specific sound frequencies can produce feelings of unease, anxiety, or outright dread in listeners without any threatening content. Infrasound, sound waves below the threshold of conscious hearing, appears particularly capable of generating these effects. Frequencies around 18 to 19 Hz resonate with the human eye, potentially causing visual disturbances that the brain interprets as threatening. These frequencies are produced by various natural and artificial sources, including storms, earthquakes, and industrial machinery. Some reportedly haunted locations have been found to contain infrasound sources that could explain reported experiences. The feeling of unseen presence or being watched has been experimentally induced using carefully controlled sound. Yet not everyone responds equally to these frequencies, suggesting individual variation in sensitivity. The phenomenon has implications for understanding how environments affect mood and perception unconsciously. Sound we cannot hear may nonetheless profoundly influence our emotional states. These invisible acoustic influences remind us that much of our experience lies beyond conscious awareness. The bloop sound remains one of the loudest recorded underwater. In 1997, underwater listening stations detected an extremely powerful low-frequency sound that came to be known as the bloop. The sound was so loud that it was detected by sensors more than 5,000 kilometers apart across the Pacific Ocean. Initial speculation suggested a biological origin, as the sound had characteristics resembling animal vocalizations. If biological, the creature producing it would have to be far larger than any known marine animal. The mystery captivated public imagination, spawning countless theories about undiscovered deep-sea giants. Scientists eventually concluded that the most likely explanation was ice carving from Antarctic glaciers. The cracking and breaking of large ice masses can produce sounds that travel vast distances through water. This explanation satisfies most researchers, though the initial mystery generated lasting cultural impact. The bloop demonstrated how sounds can travel incredible distances through ocean waters. It also revealed how little we understood about the acoustic environment of the deep sea. The mystery of the bloop reminds us that ocean sounds often have surprising sources. Some animals can predict the weather with uncanny accuracy. Throughout history, farmers and naturalists have observed that certain animals seem to anticipate weather changes before any human signs appear. Birds may fly lower before storms, cows may lie down before rain, and insects may become unusually active before particular weather events. While some of these observations are folklore, scientific studies have confirmed that many animals do respond to weather-related cues humans cannot perceive. Animals may detect changes in barometric pressure, humidity, or electromagnetic fields that precede weather changes. Some creatures can hear infrasound from distant storms that reaches them before any visible signs appear. The timing of animal behaviors has correlated with subsequent weather patterns in controlled observations. However, the reliability of animal weather prediction varies significantly between species and conditions. Not every animal behavior change signals coming weather, and many folk predictions prove no better than chance. Yet the genuine sensitivity some animals demonstrate to atmospheric conditions remains impressive. Animal weather sense reminds us that other species experience the world through senses very different from our own. Unexplained lights hover over certain bodies of water. Waters around the world are associated with persistent reports of mysterious lights that hover above the surface without obvious source. These lights appear over lakes, rivers, swamps, and coastal waters, often in the same locations over many years. Traditional explanations attributed them to swamp gas, will-o'-the-wisps created by burning methane released from decaying organic matter. This explanation accounts for some sightings, but not the sustained, bright lights reported in many cases. Some lights appear to move intelligently, following observers or retreating when approached. Others remain stationary for extended periods before suddenly vanishing. Scientists have proposed various mechanisms, including ball lightning, bioluminescent organisms, and electrical discharges from geological activity. Certain locations have become famous for these phenomena, attracting researchers and curious visitors alike. Systematic study proves difficult because the lights appear unpredictably and often briefly. Whatever their ultimate explanation, lights over water continue to inspire wonder in those who witness them. These luminous mysteries remind us that even familiar environments can harbor unexplained beauty. The Hessdalen lights have been studied for decades without resolution. In a remote valley in Norway, mysterious lights have appeared regularly since at least the early 1980s, creating one of the most thoroughly documented unexplained phenomena on Earth. The Hessdalen lights manifest as bright balls and streaks of light that drift through the valley, sometimes hovering, sometimes moving rapidly. Unlike many unexplained light phenomena, these lights occur frequently enough that scientists have established permanent monitoring stations. Researchers have captured the lights on radar, measured their electromagnetic properties, and documented their behavior extensively. Despite this wealth of data, no single explanation has gained universal acceptance. Proposed theories include ionized dust clouds, combustion of specific gases, and unusual electrical phenomena related to the valley's geology. The lights sometimes appear to respond to laser signals directed at them, adding another layer of mystery. The Hessdalen phenomenon demonstrates that some mysteries persist despite serious scientific attention. Whatever these lights are, they continue to appear with regularity, inviting ongoing study. Hessdalen reminds us that unexplained phenomena can be real, documented, and still resist explanation. Some people can sense when they are being watched. Many people report the uncanny feeling of knowing when someone is watching them, even when they cannot possibly see the observer. This sense of being watched often proves accurate when people turn to find someone indeed looking at them. Scientists have investigated this phenomenon with mixed results. Some studies found no evidence that people could detect observation above chance levels. Others have reported small but statistically significant effects, suggesting some form of detection. Proposed mechanisms include peripheral vision, detecting subtle cues, sensitivity to reflected light, or detection of body heat. More speculative theories suggest humans might perceive subtle electromagnetic emissions from other people's attention. The subjective certainty many people feel about this ability exceeds what experiments can reliably demonstrate. Confirmation bias likely plays a role, as we remember times we correctly sensed watching, but forget times we were wrong. Yet the feeling remains remarkably consistent across cultures and individuals. Whether we truly can sense observation or merely believe we can, the experience reminds us of unconscious processing. Unexplained markings appear on ancient pottery worldwide. Ceramic artifacts from prehistory often bear markings that resist easy interpretation, appearing across cultures that had no known contact with each other. These marks range from simple lines and dots to complex geometric arrangements that seem to encode information. Some markings may represent potters' signatures, counting systems, or religious symbolism, but definitive interpretation proves elusive. The consistency of certain symbols across geographically separated cultures raises questions about independent invention versus ancient contact. Some researchers propose that certain forms arise naturally from human cognition and appear universally for that reason. Others suggest prehistoric trade networks may have been more extensive than currently believed. The lack of written records means most interpretations remain speculative. Some markings only appear under specific lighting conditions, suggesting they were meant to be hidden or revealed ceremonially. The purpose of decorating utilitarian objects with these symbols remains debated among archaeologists. These mysterious markings connect us to ancient craftspeople whose thoughts and intentions we can only imagine. Certain sounds can only be heard by specific individuals. The range of human hearing varies significantly between individuals, and some people perceive sounds that others around them cannot detect. This variation goes beyond simple hearing acuity to include selective sensitivity to particular frequencies or sound types. Young people typically hear higher frequencies than adults, but some variations transcend age differences. Certain medical conditions create hypersensitivity to sounds others find tolerable or inaudible. Tinnitus sufferers hear sounds that have no external source at all. More mysteriously, some individuals report hearing specific environmental sounds that instruments confirm exist, but that others cannot perceive. The phenomenon suggests our auditory systems are far more individually calibrated than commonly assumed. Two people standing in the same location may have genuinely different sound experiences of that environment. This variation has implications for how we understand shared reality and subjective experience. The mystery is not that sounds exist that some cannot hear, but how dramatically individual perception can vary. Our acoustic worlds are more private than we typically recognize. The Tunguska event flattened forests with no impact crater. In 1908, a massive explosion occurred over Siberia that flattened approximately 80 million trees across 2,000 square kilometers of forest. The blast produced a shockwave that registered on seismographs around the world and knocked people down hundreds of kilometers away. Despite the enormous power of the event, no impact crater was ever found at the site. This absence puzzled investigators for decades and spawned numerous theories about the cause. The leading scientific explanation holds that a meteor or comet exploded in the atmosphere before reaching the ground, an airburst that released tremendous energy without creating a crater. The object was likely composed of material that completely vaporized in the explosion. Had the explosion occurred over a populated area, the destruction would have been catastrophic. The Tunguska event remains the largest impact event in recorded history. It serves as a stark reminder that objects from space can threaten Earth without leaving visible traces. The mystery of the missing crater took decades to understand. Some locations experience unexplained time distortions. Visitors to certain places around the world have reported experiencing unusual sensations regarding the passage of time. Hours seem to pass in minutes, or brief visits stretch into what feels like much longer periods. While subjective time perception is known to vary with psychological state and activity, some locations produce consistent reports that exceed normal variation. Investigators have proposed various explanations, including unusual magnetic fields, infrasound, and specific geological features. The brain's sense of time depends on internal processes that external factors can theoretically disrupt. High altitude, certain lighting conditions, and sensory deprivation can all alter time perception. Whether particular locations systematically produce time distortion remains scientifically unconfirmed. The reports may reflect altitude effects, attention capture, or confirmation bias among visitors expecting unusual experiences. Yet the consistency of accounts from certain locations invites further investigation. Whatever their cause, these perceived distortions demonstrate how actively our brains construct temporal experience. Time anomalies remind us that our perception of duration is more fluid than it seems. Unexplained mists appear suddenly in calm conditions. Localized mist formations sometimes appear suddenly in conditions that should not produce them, surprising observers with their rapid onset and often unusual characteristics. These mists may form in isolated patches rather than spreading across landscapes as normal fog does. Some appear in locations with no moisture sources capable of producing visible condensation. Others form on warm days when the temperature differential needed for mist should not exist. Conventional explanations involve microclimates, cold air drainage from elevated areas, and thermal inversions. Yet some mist appearances resist these explanations based on careful observation of local conditions. Witnesses describe mists that seem to move against wind direction or maintain their shape while drifting. The phenomenon has inspired folklore about veils between worlds or spirits manifesting. More prosaically, unusual mists may result from complex atmospheric interactions that produce localized humidity changes. Whatever their explanation, sudden mysterious mists create profound atmospheric effects. These ephemeral phenomena remind us that our atmosphere can produce surprises even in familiar landscapes. Certain dreams accurately predict future events. Throughout history, people have reported dreams that seem to predict events that subsequently occurred. These precognitive dreams range from mundane daily events to major historical occurrences. Famous cases include Abraham Lincoln reportedly dreaming of his assassination days before it happened. Scientific evaluation of precognitive dreams proves extremely challenging. The human mind dreams frequently and remembers selectively, creating enormous opportunity for coincidental matches. We tend to remember dreams that match subsequent events while forgetting the countless dreams that do not. Confirmation bias and reconstructive memory further complicate any analysis, yet some cases involve remarkably specific details recorded before events that would seem difficult to attribute to chance. Proposed explanations include unconscious pattern recognition, predicting likely outcomes, information leakage through subtle sensory channels, and coincidence across millions of nightly dreams. Whether genuine precognition exists or all cases can be explained conventionally remains debated. Predictive dreams continue to fascinate those who experience them. The mystery touches fundamental questions about time, consciousness, and the nature of reality. The dark flow suggests galaxies are pulled by something beyond our universe. Cosmologists studying the movement of galaxy clusters discovered a puzzling pattern suggesting that matter is being pulled in a specific direction by something beyond the observable universe. This phenomenon, termed dark flow, was first reported in 2008 and has sparked considerable debate. The movement cannot be explained by gravity from any matter we can observe. If real, dark flow suggests enormous structures or concentrations of mass exist beyond what we can ever see. The observable universe represents only a fraction of total existence, and dark flow hints at what might lie beyond. Subsequent studies have produced conflicting results, with some confirming the pattern and others finding no significant effect. The mystery intersects with fundamental questions about the size and shape of existence itself. If dark flow is genuine, it represents evidence of reality extending far beyond our observational horizon. The phenomenon remains scientifically controversial, but profoundly thought-provoking. Dark flow reminds us that the known universe may be merely a small portion of something unimaginably larger. Some people can taste words or see music as colors. Synesthesia is a neurological condition in which stimulation of one sense automatically triggers experiences in another sense. People with this condition might see colors when they hear music, taste flavors when they read words, or experience other sensory combinations. The phenomenon affects approximately 4% of the population in various forms. Synesthetes consistently report the same associations over time, distinguishing their experiences from imagination. Brain imaging confirms that multiple sensory areas activate simultaneously during synesthetic experiences. The condition appears to result from unusual connectivity between brain regions that are normally more separate. Far from being a disorder, many synesthetes find their crossed senses enhance creativity and memory. The phenomenon reveals that sensory experience is more constructed than perceived. Our sense of experiencing the world directly is itself an interpretation by our brains. Synesthesia demonstrates that different brains can process identical inputs into dramatically different conscious experiences. The condition reminds us that reality as we know it is a personal creation. Unexplained scratches appear on historical documents. Archivists and historians have documented mysterious scratches, marks, and alterations appearing on historical documents that cannot be attributed to known handling or storage conditions. Some manuscripts develop marks that seem to have no physical cause, appearing between examinations under controlled conditions. The phenomenon most often receives mundane explanations, including insect damage, chemical deterioration, and handling by unknown individuals. However, some cases resist easy explanation based on the specific characteristics of the marks. Scratches sometimes follow patterns that suggest intentional marking rather than random damage. Others appear in locations that would be difficult for casual handlers to reach. The mystery intensifies when marks appear on documents under constant surveillance or protective encasement. Whether these represent overlooked natural processes, undetected handling, or something more unusual remains uncertain. The phenomenon adds an element of mystery to archival work. Documents connecting us to the past sometimes bear unexplained traces that mystify their caretakers. These mysterious marks remind us that even carefully preserved history can harbor small puzzles. Ball lightning has been photographed but never reproduced. Despite being photographed, filmed, and witnessed by thousands of reliable observers, ball lightning remains impossible to create reliably in laboratory conditions. This luminous sphere that can persist for seconds while drifting through the air defies reproduction by scientists who understand most electrical phenomena well. Various experiments have created plasma spheres with some characteristics of ball lightning, but none fully matches witness descriptions. The phenomenon seems to require conditions that are difficult to identify, let alone replicate. Natural ball lightning has been estimated to occur quite rarely, making systematic field study nearly impossible. Proposed mechanisms include burning silicon vaporized by lightning strikes, electromagnetic knots, and microwave energy trapped in plasma shells. Each theory explains some aspects, but fails to account for all reported characteristics. The inability to reproduce ball lightning experimentally leaves it scientifically anomalous despite abundant documentation. The phenomenon demonstrates that observation alone does not guarantee understanding. Ball lightning reminds us that nature can produce effects that challenge our ability to replicate them. Some clocks synchronize spontaneously when placed near each other. In the 17th century, Dutch scientist Christian Huygens noticed that pendulum clocks mounted on the same wall would gradually synchronize their swing until moving in perfect unison. This phenomenon, now called entrainment or coupled oscillation, demonstrates how mechanical systems can influence each other through subtle connections. The clocks synchronize through tiny vibrations transmitted through the wall or supporting structure. This discovery led to fundamental insights about how oscillating systems interact and achieve collective behavior. The phenomenon extends far beyond clocks, appearing in flashing fireflies, beating heart cells, and human circadian rhythms. Synchronization seems to be a fundamental tendency in nature, emerging whenever oscillators can influence each other. The specific conditions required for synchronization involve matching frequencies and adequate coupling strength. The mathematics of synchronization now forms an important field of study with applications across physics, biology, and engineering. Spontaneous synchronization reminds us that order can emerge from interaction without any controlling design. The universe tends toward harmony in ways that continue to inspire scientific investigation. Unexplained magnetic anomalies exist on the ocean floor. Mapping the ocean floor has revealed numerous magnetic anomalies that deviate significantly from predicted geomagnetic patterns. While many result from known geological processes like volcanic activity and the spreading of tectonic plates, some resist easy explanation. Certain anomalies produce magnetic fields far stronger than surrounding areas can account for. Others show field orientations that do not match geological models of how the seafloor formed. The deep ocean remains poorly explored, with most of its floor never directly observed by human eyes or instruments. Anomalous magnetic zones can affect navigation equipment on submarines and surface vessels passing overhead. Some anomalies have been attributed to unusual mineral deposits or ancient volcanic structures buried beneath sediment. Others remain genuinely puzzling despite detailed survey efforts. The ocean floor records Earth's magnetic history in its rocks, and some chapters of that history remain difficult to read. These magnetic mysteries remind us that even our planet's fundamental forces can behave in unexpected ways. The placebo effect can reduce real physical pain. The placebo effect is not merely psychological. It produces measurable physical changes in the body, including actual reduction of pain signals. Brain imaging studies have shown that placebo treatments activate the same neural pathways as real analgesic medications. The body releases endorphins and other pain-modulating chemicals in response to placebo administration. These are not imaginary effects, but genuine biological responses triggered by expectation and context. The strength of placebo analgesia varies with the nature of the treatment ritual. More elaborate procedures, higher-priced placebos, and confident administration all enhance the effect. Surgery placebos, where patients undergo anesthesia and incision but no actual procedure, have shown remarkable effectiveness for some conditions. The implications for medical practice and our understanding of mind-body interaction remain profound. The placebo effect suggests that healing contexts matter beyond the specific interventions they contain. Our bodies respond to the entire experience of being treated, not just the active ingredients. Placebo analgesia reminds us that belief and biology are more intertwined than traditionally assumed. Some ancient buildings have perfect acoustic properties. Certain ancient structures produce acoustic effects that seem deliberately engineered, though the builders left no records explaining their methods. Sounds in these spaces behave in remarkable ways, with specific frequencies amplified, echoes creating ethereal effects, and whispers audible across great distances. The oracle at Delphi, Mayan pyramids, and various ancient temples all exhibit extraordinary acoustic properties. Some structures can amplify a speaker's voice to reach large crowds without any mechanical assistance. Others produce echo patterns that transform simple sounds into complex reverberations. Researchers debate whether these effects were intentionally designed or represent fortunate accidents of construction. The sophisticated understanding of acoustics implied by intentional design seems to exceed what ancient cultures should have possessed. Yet the consistency of effects across multiple structures suggests deliberate creation. Modern acoustic analysis reveals that some ancient spaces rival contemporary concert halls in their acoustic performance. These ancient sound spaces remind us that knowledge can be expressed through construction rather than writing. Unexplained temperature drops occur in specific locations. Certain locations are associated with sudden, dramatic temperature drops that seem to have no conventional meteorological explanation. These cold spots can reduce local temperature by several degrees within seconds, persisting for varying periods before vanishing as suddenly as they appeared. While cold air drainage, underground streams, and localized shade can create temperature variations, some reported drops exceed what these mechanisms should produce. The phenomenon occurs in outdoor and indoor locations, sometimes in buildings with sealed environments. Many reported cold spots occur in locations associated with unusual activity or historical events. Skeptics attribute the experiences to psychological expectation or subtle air currents below conscious perception. Yet some temperature drops have been measured with scientific instruments, confirming they exist beyond subjective sensation. The cause of genuinely anomalous temperature drops remains debated among those who study such phenomena, whether representing undiscovered physical processes or measurement artifacts. These cold spots add mystery to certain places. Temperature anomalies remind us that even thermal properties can behave unexpectedly. Certain crystals produce unexplained electrical signals. Piezoelectricity, the generation of electricity when certain crystals are mechanically stressed, is well understood and widely used in technology. However, some crystalline materials produce electrical signals under conditions that should not trigger piezoelectric effects. These anomalous signals appear in crystals at rest, without applied pressure or temperature change. Some researchers have proposed that crystals might respond to extremely subtle environmental factors, including electromagnetic fields or even biological presence. The hypothesis remains highly controversial and is not accepted by mainstream science. More conventional explanations include residual stress from crystal formation and sensitivity to imperceptible vibrations. The human fascination with crystals as energy sources may bias observation and reporting of anomalous effects. Yet decades of reports from diverse sources keep the question alive for some investigators. Whatever their ultimate explanation, crystals continue to inspire wonder about potential hidden properties of matter. These electrical mysteries remind us that even well-studied materials can harbor surprises. The great silence in space puzzles scientists studying alien life. Given the size and age of the universe, statistical arguments suggest intelligent life should be widespread and that we should have detected evidence of it by now. Yet decades of searching have found nothing definitive, a puzzle known as the Fermi Paradox or the Great Silence. The absence of alien signals, structures, or visitors seems to contradict our understanding of probability and time. Various explanations have been proposed, from the rarity of life to the tendency of civilizations to destroy themselves. Perhaps intelligent species do not communicate in ways we can detect. Maybe the distances between stars are simply too great for any form of contact. Some suggest that advanced civilizations might hide deliberately, aware of dangers we have not yet encountered. Others propose that we simply have not been looking long enough given cosmic timescales. The Great Silence might mean we are alone, that we are first, or that we are somehow being avoided. Whatever the answer, the silence of the cosmos confronts us with profound questions about our place in existence. Some people report near-death experiences with similar elements. A consistent thread runs through accounts of near-death experiences reported worldwide across cultures and time periods. People who come close to death frequently describe leaving their bodies, moving through tunnels toward light, encountering deceased relatives, and experiencing profound peace. The cross-cultural consistency of these elements suggests either shared neurological processes or something more profound. Scientists have proposed that dying brains produce characteristic experiences through oxygen deprivation and neurotransmitter release. The tunnel and light might represent visual cortex shutdown patterns common to all human brains. Encounters with relatives could represent memory activation during neurological crisis. Yet some accounts include verifiable details about events occurring while the person was clinically dead. These contested cases have sparked debate about consciousness and its relationship to physical brain function, whether near-death experiences represent glimpses beyond death or products of dying brains remains unresolved. The phenomenon continues to fascinate those who study consciousness. Near-death experiences remind us that the boundary between life and death may be more complex than assumed. Unexplained statues have been found on remote Pacific islands. The enormous stone statues of Easter Island represent one of history's most enduring archaeological mysteries. These moai, numbering nearly 900, were carved and transporting across a small, isolated island with limited resources. How the island's inhabitants moved statues weighing up to 80 tons without wheels or draft animals puzzled researchers for generations. Modern experiments have demonstrated that careful coordination of ropes and rocking motion could walk statues across terrain. Yet questions remain about the organization, motivation, and ultimate fate of the statue-building culture. Similar questions surround other stone monuments found on remote Pacific islands, though none approach Easter Island's scale. The collapse of Easter Island civilization serves as a cautionary tale about environmental sustainability. The statues stand as monuments to both achievement and tragedy. These massive figures looking inland represent extraordinary human effort in one of Earth's most isolated locations. The mystery of how and why invites reflection on what drove ancient peoples to such remarkable undertakings. Certain animals can detect illness in humans before symptoms appear. Dogs and other animals have demonstrated the ability to detect various human diseases, including cancer, diabetes, and infections, before clinical symptoms become apparent. Trained medical detection, dogs can identify specific cancers by scent with remarkable accuracy. Animals have alerted diabetic owners to dangerous blood sugar changes before any symptoms manifested. The mechanism appears to involve detection of volatile organic compounds that diseases produce in breath, sweat, or urine. These chemical signatures may be present at concentrations far below human perception, but detectable by animal senses. The reliability of animal disease detection has been demonstrated in controlled clinical studies. Some detection dogs approach 90% accuracy for certain cancers, rivaling or exceeding technological screening methods. The phenomenon is being developed into practical medical applications. Animals may be able to detect diseases for which no other early screening exists. This biological detection ability reminds us that other species perceive the world in ways that can benefit human health and survival. The Voynich manuscript remains undeciphered after centuries. Held in Yale University's library, the Voynich manuscript represents one of history's most enigmatic documents. This handwritten book contains text in an unknown script accompanied by illustrations of unidentifiable plants, astronomical diagrams, and bathing figures. Carbon dating places its creation in the early 15th century, but its author and purpose remain unknown. Countless cryptographers, linguists, and amateur code breakers have attempted to decipher the text without success. Some analyses suggest the text has linguistic structure consistent with natural language rather than random symbols. Others argue it might be an elaborate hoax without actual meaning. The illustrations provide no clear cultural context, depicting plants that match no known species. Various theories have attributed the manuscript to medieval scientists, religious mystics, or forgers, creating an object of mystery. No single explanation has gained widespread acceptance among scholars who have studied the document. The Voynich manuscript reminds us that history contains communications we may never understand. Some secrets may remain forever locked against our curiosity. Some ancient sites amplify sound in unexplained ways. Archaeological sites around the world demonstrate acoustic properties that seem to defy the understanding of their builders. Certain locations amplify specific frequencies while dampening others, creating soundscapes that feel engineered rather than accidental. The ancient palace at Knossos in Crete contains chambers where whispered secrets carry clearly across impressive distances. Newgrange in Ireland channels sound into its central chamber in ways that transform simple notes into complex resonances. Some Mayan pyramids produce chirping echoes that resemble birds when hands are clapped before them. The consistency of these effects across different cultures suggests either shared knowledge or independent discovery of acoustic principles. Modern analysis reveals that some structures achieve effects that would require sophisticated understanding to design intentionally. Whether these properties were deliberately created or represent fortunate accidents remains debated among researchers. The sacred significance many cultures attributed to these sites may relate to their unusual acoustic environments. Sound amplification reminds us that ancient builders may have known things about their materials that we are only rediscovering. Unexplained fossils do not fit known evolutionary paths. The fossil record contains specimens that challenge established evolutionary narratives, organisms that appear to have no clear ancestors or descendants in the geological record. These mysterious fossils raise questions about the completeness of our understanding of life's history. Some represent evolutionary experiments that apparently led nowhere, lineages that flourished briefly then vanished without trace. Others appear suddenly in the record fully formed, their evolutionary precursors unknown. The Cambrian explosion produced numerous body plans that have no clear antecedents in earlier rocks. While incomplete fossilization explains many gaps, some discontinuities seem more fundamental. Certain organisms show combinations of features that do not fit neatly into known classifications. These enigmatic fossils may represent undiscovered transitional forms or genuinely novel evolutionary strategies. The study of problematic fossils drives paleontologists to refine theories and seek new evidence. Each unexplained specimen represents a puzzle that future discoveries might solve. Mysterious fossils remind us that the history of life on Earth contains chapters we have not yet read. Certain people can sense electromagnetic fields. While humans generally lack the magnetoception found in many animals, some individuals claim unusual sensitivity to electromagnetic fields. These people report physical sensations, headaches, or other effects in the presence of electrical equipment or geomagnetic activity. The phenomenon, sometimes called electromagnetic hypersensitivity, remains scientifically controversial. Controlled studies have generally failed to show that affected individuals can reliably detect fields they cannot see or hear. This suggests the experiences may be psychological rather than physical responses to electromagnetic exposure. However, the consistency and sincerity of many claims prevents complete dismissal. Some researchers propose that rare individuals might possess atypical sensitivity not captured by standard testing. The human body does have magnetic material in the brain, though its function remains unclear. Whether genuine electromagnetic perception exists in some people or all claims represent other phenomena remains unresolved. The debate connects to broader questions about human perception and its limits. Claimed electromagnetic sensitivity reminds us that individual experience can differ dramatically from statistical norms. The universe appears fine-tuned for life in unexplained ways. The fundamental constants of physics seem precisely calibrated to allow the existence of stars, planets, and ultimately life. If any of several key values were even slightly different, atoms could not form, stars could not burn, or chemistry, as we know it, would be impossible. This apparent fine-tuning of the universe presents one of physics' deepest mysteries. Religious interpretations see evidence of deliberate design, while scientific explanations include the multiverse hypothesis, where our universe is one of countless others with varying constants. In this view, we exist in this universe only because its constants happen to permit life. Others propose that future physics will reveal why the constants must have their observed values. The anthropic principle notes that we can only observe a universe compatible with our existence, potentially explaining the apparent fine-tuning. Whether the universe is genuinely remarkable or we are simply biased observers remains debated. The elegance and precision of physical law inspires wonder regardless of its ultimate explanation. Fine-tuning reminds us that existence itself may be profoundly mysterious. Some places produce unexplained feelings of peace. Just as certain locations inspire unease, others produce profound feelings of peace and well-being without obvious cause. Visitors to these places report feeling unusually calm, centered, and connected to something larger than themselves. The effect appears consistently across different individuals who may know nothing of the location's reputation. Scientists have investigated whether physical factors might explain these peaceful atmospheres. Some locations feature natural sounds like flowing water or rustling leaves that promote relaxation. Others have geological features that might produce beneficial negative ions or particular electromagnetic environments. Yet not all peaceful places show detectable physical anomalies that would explain their effects. Cultural and historical associations may prime visitors to expect certain experiences. The simple beauty of natural settings can trigger innate relaxation responses evolved over millions of years. Whatever their cause, these peaceful places serve as refuges from the stresses of modern life. They remind us that environments can nurture our spirits in ways we do not fully understand. Unexplained phenomena remind us how much we have yet to discover. For all our scientific progress, genuine mysteries persist at every scale of existence. From the behavior of subatomic particles to the structure of the cosmos, from the depths of the oceans to the workings of consciousness, questions outnumber answers. Unexplained phenomena serve as humbling reminders that knowledge has limits we have not yet reached. Every century has contained confident assertions later revealed as incomplete or incorrect. The mysteries that puzzle us today may be common knowledge to future generations, just as our understanding would bewilder the past. Science progresses not by eliminating mystery, but by replacing old mysteries with new, deeper ones. Each answer reveals further questions in an endless progression toward understanding. The unexplained is not a failure of knowledge, but its frontier. Without mystery, curiosity would have nowhere to direct itself. The persistence of the unexplained ensures that exploration will continue as long as humans exist. These mysteries are not problems to be solved, but invitations to keep wondering. The unknown invites curiosity rather than fear. Human responses to the unexplained vary dramatically, with some feeling dread and others experiencing wonder and excitement. The choice between fear and curiosity is partly temperamental, but also influenced by how we frame the mysterious. Throughout history, the unknown has inspired both superstitious terror and passionate investigation. Science itself emerged from the decision to approach mystery with inquiry rather than avoidance. The explorers, scientists, and thinkers who expanded human knowledge chose curiosity over fear when confronting the unexplained. This orientation toward wonder has proven remarkably productive, transforming mysteries into understanding across every field. The unexplained phenomena that remain today will likely yield to the same curious approach over time. Rather than threatening, the unknown becomes a source of fascination and motivation. The existence of mystery means there is always more to learn, more to explore, more to discover. Choosing curiosity over fear transforms the unexplained from burden to gift. The unknown invites us to participate in the grand human project of understanding. Mysteries keep the human spirit alive with wonder. A world without mystery would be a world without motivation for discovery, exploration, or growth. The unexplained provides essential fuel for the human spirit, driving us to learn, investigate, and imagine. Children demonstrate this connection clearly with their endless questions about why and how, reflecting an innate love of mystery. As we age, the capacity for wonder can diminish unless actively cultivated, yet mysteries remain available to rekindle it. The greatest scientists have often described their work as driven by the same wonder that captivates children. Einstein spoke of the mysterious as the source of all true art and science. The persistence of unexplained phenomena ensures that wonder will always have objects worthy of attention. From cosmic puzzles to everyday oddities, mystery surrounds us constantly. Engaging with the unexplained refreshes our appreciation for existence itself. Wonder is not childish, but essential to fully human living. The mysteries we encounter keep our spirits young and our minds engaged with the miracle of being. Science continues to explore what lies beyond current understanding. The scientific enterprise is defined not by what it knows, but by its commitment to pushing beyond current boundaries. Unexplained phenomena are not embarrassments to science, but its essential motivation. Every major scientific breakthrough began with mysteries that existing knowledge could not explain. Anomalies that resist current theories often signal the need for new frameworks that will eventually supersede them. The history of science reveals a constant process of replacement, with each generation's certainties yielding to deeper insights. Phenomena that seemed inexplicable in one era become foundational knowledge in the next. Dark matter, dark energy, and consciousness represent contemporary mysteries that future science may illuminate. The scientific method provides tools for approaching the unexplained systematically rather than through speculation alone. Patience and persistent investigation have repeatedly transformed mystery into understanding. Science's greatest strength is its willingness to say we do not yet know while committing to find out. The unexplained drives scientific progress rather than contradicting it. The unexplained connects us to the vastness of existence. Every unexplained phenomenon is a reminder that we inhabit a cosmos far larger and stranger than our minds can fully grasp. The mysteries we encounter connect us to scales of space and time that dwarf human experience. From the subatomic to the cosmic, the unexplained reveals depths of existence beyond our current comprehension. This connection can be humbling, reminding us how small we are within the vastness of reality. Yet it is also elevating, placing us within a story of cosmic proportions. The same laws of physics that govern galaxies operate within our bodies. The same processes that birth stars also created the atoms that compose us. Engaging with mystery attunes us to this connection, fostering feelings of wonder and belonging. The unexplained is not separate from us, but part of the vast system we inhabit. Every mystery is an invitation to recognize our place within something infinitely greater. The unexplained ultimately reminds us that we are participants in an existence whose full nature we are still discovering. And now, the quiet wonders of unexplained phenomena begin to gently fade into the stillness of the night. You have wandered through over 100 peaceful mysteries about the unknown, from strange lights in distant skies to sounds that echo through the deepest ocean, from ancient structures that defy explanation to signals from deep space that no one can decode, from wandering stones to singing glaciers, from silent lightning to glowing lakes. You have explored phenomena that challenge our understanding, mysteries that science has only begun to unravel, and wonders that remind us how much remains to be discovered. You have learned that beyond every answer lies another question, and that the unknown is not something to fear, but something to marvel at. You are connected to this story more deeply than you may realize. Right now, as you listen, the universe continues its mysterious work. Stars are flickering in patterns we cannot explain. Signals are pulsing through the void. Strange lights are hovering over remote waters. The unexplained does not wait for our attention. It simply continues, patiently and quietly, as it always has. If your eyes feel heavy now, let them close. Let the rhythm of your breath become steady, like the gentle pulse of mystery beneath awareness, like the quiet hum of a universe that keeps its deepest secrets hidden. Tonight, as you rest, the unexplained continues its quiet dance. It will guard its mysteries, reveal its wonders to those who seek them, and remind us that there is always more to discover, always more to wonder about, always more to explore. You are a small, warm presence within this vast, mysterious world, peacefully resting among the wonders. Sleep well, sweet dreams, and may you carry with you the quiet knowledge that you are never truly alone, for the universe is full of mysteries waiting to be discovered, and you are part of that story. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the world of unexplained phenomena. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to Drowsy Discovery for more soothing explorations of the wonders that surround us. There are more mysteries waiting, more secrets hidden in the fabric of reality, more gentle truths to drift through on quiet evenings. Rest well, and may the gentle wonder of the unknown keep you company through the night. This has been Drowsy Discovery. Good night.